Should we begin, Mataji? Hare Krishna. So let us begin our today's session. Can you all hear me clearly? Okay. So let me recite the Mangalacharan prayers first. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we welcome all of you for this discussion on Mahabharat. Unfortunately, last 2 weeks we couldn't hold because I was a little sick and I was preoccupied with many other things. So we had to cancel 2-week session. I hope you all remember what we discussed 2 weeks back, 3 weeks back. We had discussed the story of Ekalavya, how Ekalavya wanted to compete with Arjun, and he said, I have accepted Dronacharya as my guru. But then he was not exactly following Dronacharya's instructions. So when Dronacharya came to know, he went there and he requested Ekalavya to give a Guru Dakshina. And then he was asked to give his thumb. And in this way, Dronacharya made sure that Ekalavya is unable to excel in the skill of archery. And we saw how this was not a caste discrimination. Ekalavya belonged to a tribe that was not very favorably disposed towards the Kuru rule. They were rebellious against the Kuru rule. Therefore, Dronacharya wanted to make sure that this person doesn't become an expert and in this way fight against the Kurus. So that's why he ensured that he doesn't excel. And then we saw how Dronacharya tested the Pandavas and Kauravas, shooting the eye of the pigeon on the top of a tree. And then Dronacharya one time went into a river and he was caught by a crocodile, and how Arjun rescued him. And then there was a martial exhibition where all the princes were tested. So each prince came and displayed their skills of archery and sword skills and horse riding and all those things. And finally, we saw how Karna entered without any announcement, without any invitation, and he wanted to challenge Arjun. So Duryodhan then made him the king of one area, one province. And in this way, he made sure that Karna was recognized as a Kshatriya. And so all those incidents we discussed last time. And we also saw how the Kurus, Bhishma and Dhritarashtra, came to know about Krishna's divine birth in Mathura. They heard how Krishna and Balaram were transported from Mathura to Vrindavan, how Kamsa had killed 6 children, Devaki's 6 children, newborn infants. Krishna was the 8th child who was predicted to kill Kamsa, and how Krishna and Balaram were killing so many demons in Vrindavan. And finally, after 11 years, they came to Mathura, killed Kamsa. All these incidents the Kurus in Hastinapur were hearing regularly. And they were really wonderful, struck, astonished to see how Krishna and Balaram were performing these pastimes. And then Krishna came to know that Dhritarashtra was not treating the Pandavas very fairly. So he sent Akrura to Hastinapur to inquire about the details, how the Pandavas are faring. Are they being treated properly by their stepfather Dhritarashtra? And then how Kunti prayed to Akrura, and she wanted Krishna and Balaram to shower their affection upon her and her family regularly, continuously. So all the incidents we discussed 3 weeks back. I hope you all remember all those points. So now we'll begin today's discussion. So here Pandavas and Kauravas were staying in one family, but there was constant enmity between the two sets of brothers. And everyone could notice this. They could see how the Kauravas, especially Duryodhana and Dushasana and Shakuni, were trying to plot various schemes in order to torture the Pandavas. So Dhritarashtra saw that the citizens of Hastinapur were very much affectionate towards the Pandavas. And he was getting constant reports that Yudhishthir should be made the king. Why is this old blind man remaining as the king? He cannot see anything, he cannot rule properly. So now that Yudhishthir has become qualified and become an adult, he should become the king. Why is this old man staying on the throne and not allowing Yudhishthir to become the king? So in this way, he was getting reports. But Dhritarashtra wanted Duryodhana to become the king. But the citizens wanted Yudhishthir to become the king. So in this way, he was constantly torn between his affection for his own sons. But finally, when he got to know that everyone wanted Yudhishthir, so he suddenly announced, okay, we will install Yudhishthir as a prince regent. Prince regent means one who is going to become the future king. So in this way, suddenly one day, they invited the Pandavas and very quickly performed the Abhishek ceremony of Yudhishthir, and he was installed as the prince regent. It happened very quickly in one or 2 days, shortly. So when Duryodhana and the Kauravas heard about this, came to know about this, they were really angry. So Duryodhana was expecting that he will become the prince, and he wanted to become the future king. So then Duryodhana decided something has to be done. I cannot tolerate this. The Pandavas becoming the emperors of the world when I am here, when my brothers are here. So he went to Shakuni. He and Karna and Dushasan, they went to Shakuni and explained the whole situation. They said, our old father, this old king, blind king, has spoiled our plans and has installed Yudhishthir. What will happen to me now? So Shakuni thought about a moment. He said, look, it is impossible to defeat the Pandavas if you fight with them. They are much more powerful than you all, you set of brothers. We have to do something hidden. If you directly confront them, you cannot defeat. So what I suggest, he said, is let us somehow make sure that Pandavas are not staying here. Let us move them out of Hastinapur. And once they are out of Hastinapur, we can do something and kill them, all of them. Because if we kill them in Hastinapur, then everyone will come to know. But if they are moved out of Hastinapur to a faraway place, and if we do something to them, no one will suspect us. So, what to do? They were thinking. So, because everything depends on Dhritarashtra, only if he orders the Pandavas to move out, only then the Pandavas will move out. So Duryodhana said, let us do one thing. I have a Brahmana friend, a priest. I will call him and I will have him advise Dhritarashtra about this. So Duryodhana invited his friend whose name was Karnika. Karnika was kind of a priest. And Shakuni explained all the whole plan to Karnika. And Karnika then went to Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra started speaking to Karnika and explained how he wanted his own sons to become the king, but out of public pressure, he had installed Yudhishthir. So Karnika advised him, look, if you consider anyone your enemy, then you should somehow or other eliminate them, destroy them. There is nothing wrong in it. And in order to secure your position, you may do anything. It is not considered improper if you do that. So in this way, Kanika gave ill advice, a wrong advice to Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra was very happy. So Shakuni and all the Kauravas, they decide we will we will organize a festival in a place called Varanavata. So Varanavat was one part of Hastinapur's kingdom, a kind of remote place. So like in Bombay, we have the main city in one part of the city, and there is a remote suburb city, like far away from Bombay, say Kalyan and beyond Kalyan or Karjat, some village area where not many people are staying there, and it's a forest area. So Dhritarashtra said, we are going to organize a festival at Varnavat, and I invite all of you to go there and enjoy the festival. So when Yudhishthir and the Pandavas heard this, they understood there is something suspicious about it, something evil plot. But they couldn't say anything because Dhritarashtra was the elder person, he was the king, and if the king is ordering something, you have to follow. So they said, okay, if you are ordering us to go, we will go. So a date was selected, and all the Pandavas were seated on nice chariots, including Kunti, and they all proceeded towards Varanavat. So meanwhile, Duryodhan had employed his people to construct a very nice palace in Varanavat. This is called the House of Laksha Griha. Laksha Griha means a palace made of inflammable items, combustible items. So all the material used to construct this palace were mixed with ghee and oil and other inflammable items. So Duryodhan's plan was the Pandavas should stay here for a few days, and one fine day, when they are unaware of anything, when they are not suspecting anything, they will burn the house, burn the palace. And in this way, the five brothers and their mother will be burned to death. And they can announce to everyone, oh, there was an accident that happened, and unfortunately, everyone got killed. So this was the plan of Duryodhan. So he employed, his close friend, whose name was Purochan. Purochan was like an architect, and he said to Purochan, I will give you immense amount of wealth and gifts if you carry out my mission nicely. So this Purochan was very greedy, and when he got to know this scheme, he immediately agreed, and he built this palace nicely. And when the day was selected, all the Pandavas went there. And while they were going from Hastinapur, they knew there is something evil behind this, but they didn't know exactly what it was. So their uncle, Vidur, Vidur comes and starts speaking to Yudhishthir. He doesn't speak the regular language. He starts speaking in a cryptic language, a coded language, which no one could understand. Only Yudhishthir could understand. So Vidur said something to Yudhishthir. And in that message, he indicated that you are going to a very dangerous place and be careful. There could be fire anywhere, anytime, and you should carefully protect yourself. And he also indicated one more thing. He said, there is an escape way. You can escape the danger by constructing a tunnel underground. So all this message Vidur gave to Yudhishthir in a coded language, which no one could understand. So later Kunti asked Yudhishthir, what did Vidur say? So Yudhishthira explained to Kunti and all the Pandavas, this is what Yudhishthira said. So in this way, they proceeded to Varanavat, in this Lakshagriha. And as soon as Yudhishthira and the Pandavas entered the palace, they could understand the whole palace is made of all these oily items, inflammable items. And the message was confirmed that this is a plan to kill all of us. And then he saw Purochan. Purochan was Duryodhana's friend, evil friend. And Purochan was very nicely welcoming them, all of them, very, very sweet words. So you should understand this is all a drama, an attack. And then he showed their quarters, where to sleep, where to stay, where is the kitchen, and all those facilities they saw. So the Pandavas settled there in this new location, new residence, and very soon they met one person who was sent by Vidura, a miner. Miner means someone who can dig a tunnel. So they secretly met in one place and they decided, we should immediately begin the construction of a tunnel underground. So this miner immediately started the work. And in a few days, he completed the job of constructing the entire tunnel out of this palace and out of the city. It's a long tunnel into the forest. So they came to know that one Amavasya night, Purochan is going to set fire to the house when everyone is sleeping in the middle of the night, when there is a darkness totally full. Amavasya night means there is no moon, a new moon day. So when no one will come to know. So in this way, they got this message secretly. So they thought, Yudhishthira and the Pandavas thought, we will do one thing. Before Purochan sets fire to the house, we will set fire to the house and we will run away. So initially they thought, why should we be afraid? Bhima said, why should we be afraid of anyone? Let us go and fight and challenge the Kauravas. Even Arjun suggested that. Why should we stay in fear, in hiding? But Vidura had suggested, don't do that. That won't be a wise decision. You follow my advice and you will be successful. So in this way, before the Amavasya night, when Purochan was sleeping and all others palace guards were sleeping, Yudhishthira and the Pandavas decided, we will set fire. So incidentally, on the same day, one family had come inside the palace. One mother with her 5 children, 5 sons. For some work, they had come inside the palace. And the Pandavas didn't know that they were staying inside the palace. So what they did, they selected when everyone was asleep in the middle of the night, Yudhishthira told Bhima, okay, now we are moving out of the tunnel one by one. You start setting fire to the house. So Bhima took a torch and lit it with fire and went to various corners of the palace and started lighting fire to the whole house. And after sufficiently lighting at various places, he also went inside the tunnel, closed the tunnel, and started walking out along with the other Pandavas and Kunti. So in a matter of minutes, the whole palace was burning with fire, blazing. And when the citizens of the place saw this, they were really astonished. And they started crying and lamenting, and they said, this is the plan of that evil Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. That blind king is partially disposed towards his own sons, and he is plotted the scheme to kill the Pandavas. And then they started cursing Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana and Shakuni. They didn't know that the Pandavas had already escaped to the tunnel. So the minister Purochan, who was sleeping inside, he was killed by the fire. And the family of one mother and 5 children, they also got burned to death. So early morning, when the fire settled down and the citizens and the other people came and checked out, Are the Pandavas safe and is everyone alive or they got burned to death? They saw this one mother and five sons. So everyone thought, oh, the Pandavas have been killed. They have burned to death. And they started crying and lamenting, unable to save them. They didn't know that Pandavas had already escaped. So in this way, uh, they escape. Here we see the image. The Pandavas are coming out of the tunnel, entering the tunnel, and finally they come out. They come out of the tunnel safely. So they come in. They enter into a forest. The tunnel opens into a forest area near a river bank. So there, Vidura had already sent one person to carry them in a boat across the river. In this way, the Pandavas get into the river and they cross the river and they start moving into the forest. So in this way, all the Kauravas thought, Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra and Bhishma, everyone thought that Pandavas were killed. So Dhritarashtra was very happy, thinking that finally my plan has become successful. Duryodhan was happy, thinking that the plan was successful. And they also saw this family, the five brothers and their mother dead. The dead bodies they saw. So everyone thought, oh, finally the Pandavas are dead. Bhishma and Dronacharya, they all started crying because they thought actually Pandavas were dead. They didn't know Vidura's plan. Only Vidura knew the secret, but he didn't tell anyone because he was not sure. If Duryodhan comes to know that Pandavas are alive, again he may do something to harm them. So Vidura kept this information secret, very confidential. So there at Pandava's side, they enter into a forest, and it's a dense, thick forest, and there is no support. There is no one to carry them. There are no chariots, nothing, no method of transport. So they start walking deep inside the forest for hours together. So after a long time, everyone is tired. So Yudhishthir requests Bhima, look, Bhima, we all are tired. Our mother is tired. We can't walk at all. You have to carry all of us. So in this way, Bhima, what he does, he carries all of them. He puts his brothers Nakul and Sahadev on the shoulders. He carries Yudhishthir and Arjun on the arms, and he carries Kunti Devi on his head. In this way, all of them are sitting on the body of Bhima. And Bhima carries them all and he starts running at great speed through inside the forest. And he runs for a long time. And finally he settles down at one place because everyone is tired. And everyone is immediately falls asleep. And everyone is hungry and thirsty. So they request Bhima, please go and find some water. By the time Bhima goes and carries water, brings water, he sees that everyone is asleep, fast asleep. That was the condition. Now, at this place where the Pandavas had settled down, very close to this place, there was this Rakshasa whose name was Hidimba. Hidimba was a Rakshasa, a man eating Rakshasa. And he had a sister whose name was Hidimbi. So Hidimba, when he comes to know that the human beings are staying here, he starts smelling human flesh because the Rakshasas have great smelling power. So he is very hungry and he could smell human flesh. So he tells his sister, I think some human beings are standing here close by. Why don't you go and check? So Hidimbi, the sister, she agrees to her brother's order and she starts walking around. And comes to the place where the Pandavas are staying. She saw these five brothers, five powerful brothers, huge men, and their mother sleeping in one place under a tree. And Hidimbi sees Bhima also. Bhima, very huge body, very attractive, very handsome. And immediately Hidimbi gets attracted towards Bhima. And she wants to marry Bhima. Mhm. So she, you know what she does? She takes the beautiful form of a human being, a human lady, a young woman, and looks very attractive, dressed very decoratedly. And she goes to Bhima and she says, "Look, oh my dear handsome prince, I am very much attracted to you. And who are these other men sitting here? And who is that lady? Let us do one thing. Let us kill all of them and we will marry and enjoy life. We will roam around everywhere, all over the world, and let us enjoy as a husband and wife." So Bhima gets angry when he heard this. He said, "Come on, they are my brothers and this is my mother. How dare you talk like this about killing all of them? I will kill you." So Hidimbi says, "Look, don't make too much noise. My brother Hidimba is staying very close by. And if he comes to know, then he will kill all of you." So Bhima says, "Acha, if that is the case, I will first finish Hidimba. I will kill him. And then I'll kill you later." So in this way, the conversation is happening between Hidimbi and Hidimbi and Bhima. And Hidimba there is waiting. Why is my sister taking so much time? I am very hungry and I am waiting for this human flesh to eat and enjoy. And this foolish lady is taking so much time. So Hidimba gets impatient and he starts coming towards this place. And there he saw how his sister Hidimbi had taken the form of a young woman and she was talking to Bhima, having a romantic conversation with Bhima. So Hidimba gets angry and he understands that Hidimbi has changed her mind. So immediately he chastises Hidimbi and says, "You foolish woman, how can you get attracted to a human being? I will finish them all." And then he challenges Bhima. So Bhima is eager to accept this challenge. But he doesn't want to disturb his sleeping brothers and mother. So he immediately accepts the challenge of Hidimba and he drags him away from the place where his brothers and mother are sleeping. And there's a huge fight between the two. Uh, Hidimba and Bhima are fighting with each other. And both of them are pounding each other with fist. And they uproot trees and fight with each other, hit each other, kick each other. In this way, the fight continues for a long time. And when they hear this noise, the four brothers and Kunti wake up because this is creating too much noise. And they see this fight between Bhima and Hidimba, this huge Rakshasa fighting with their brother Bhima. So Arjun goes there and he tells Bhima, "Look, I think you are tired now. You should take rest and I will fight." So Bhima gets angry. He says, "Come on, my dear brother. I am not at all tired. You relax and you watch me how I am going to destroy this man eating Rakshasa." And immediately he grabs hold of Hidimba and starts pounding him with his fist with great force. And within a matter of minutes, he kills Hidimba. And Hidimba is dead. Haribol. Hidimba is dead. And uh, and everyone is happy. The Pandavas are happy and Bhima is happy. And then after Hidimba was dead, Bhima turns to Hidimbi. He wants to kill Hidimbi now. So when Kunti saw this and Yudhishthir saw this, he tells, "Look, Bhima, it is not proper for a Kshatriya to kill a woman. It is against the principles of Kshatriya. So you should not kill a woman. And moreover, Hidimbi has not done anything. Why do you want to kill her? In fact, she's attracted to you." So Hidimbi then thanks Kunti and she requests Kunti, Please, oh my dear mother, please allow me to, please convince your son Bhima to marry me. I want to marry him. So in this way, Yudhishthir also agrees that yes, it is proper for Bhima to marry Hidimbi. So finally, Bhima, although he is not very much interested in Hidimbi, he agrees to the order of Yudhishthir and Kunti, and he agrees to spend time with Hidimbi. So Hidimbi says, "Look, I have all the mystic power. We can roam around in various gardens and nice resorts all over the world. I can carry you everywhere, wherever you want." So Bhima says, "Look, right now my brothers and my mother are in a dangerous position. We have just escaped a threat to our life, and it is not proper for me to spend time with you now. So you should first help me, help us. All of us reach a safe place." So Hidimbi agrees. Then Hidimbi carries everyone through her mystic power out of the forest to a safe place, and everyone settles down in that remote, peaceful place. And then Bhima agrees to now spend time with Hidimbi. So Bhima and Hidimbi then go to various picnic spots and gardens in various parts of the world. And after spending some time, uh, it is said that Ghatotkach was born uh, to Hidimbi and Bhima. So because his parents, Hidimbi was a Rakshasi, Ghatotkach is said to have a Rakshasa birth. Very powerful young boy who immediately turned into a young man. And although born of a Rakshasa family, Ghatotkach was very favorable towards the Pandavas. And he promised Bhima that whenever you need me, anytime, anywhere, you just remember me and I will immediately come to you and carry out your order. So in this way, Ghatotkach was born and Hidimbi was happy and satisfied. And Bhima promised Hidimbi that once everything is settled down and we become the kings of the planet, I will again meet you and then we can stay together. So in this way, Bhima leaves Hidimbi and Ghatotkach and comes back to his four brothers and Kunti. He rejoins his family. So in this way, uh, they are roaming around the forest. So one day they meet a great sage, Vyasadev. Vyasadev comes to the Pandavas and he sees their condition and he tells them, "My advice to you is you should go to a place called Ekachakra. You should go and settle there." So the Pandavas ask, "How should we go there? We don't know the way." So Vyasadev tells them how to go there. He directs them. And finally, they come to this place called Ekachakra. Ekachakra, some of you may know, it is a place in modern day West Bengal. Ekachakra is also the birthplace of Nityananda Prabhu. Some of you may have gone there during our yatras. When we go to Mayapur, one day we go to Ekachakra also, the birthplace of Nityananda Prabhu, where he was born and where Nityananda Prabhu performed his childhood pastimes of enacting so many dramas with his friends. That is the place Ekachakra. So long before Nityananda Prabhu came, the Pandavas also stayed there for several months. So finally, the Pandavas come to Ekachakra and they meet one family, a Brahmana family, in whose house the Pandavas settled down. So the Brahmana, one husband and wife, and their two children are there, one boy and girl, a family of 4 or 5 members. So that's the place where the 5 brothers and Kunti stay. And this Brahmana is very happy to invite them, and he gives all accommodation to them and allows them to stay there as long as they want. So in this way, they are staying there peacefully, happily. So every day, the Pandavas would go around the village, meet people, and this way they were spending their time. So one day, when the Pandavas had gone out and Kunti was alone at the house, So she started hearing a loud cry. She saw someone is loudly crying from the house inside. So she's wondering what happened. Why this person is loudly crying? What calamity has come to this family? So she goes near the door and she's listening to conversation happening inside. So the husband, wife, and two children are discussing with each other, and everyone is crying. And Kunti is standing near the door and silently hearing in hiding. So the husband is saying, what calamity has come upon our family now? Everything is ruined. Everything is doomed. We are all destroyed now. There is no solution. So he tells his wife, let me end my life. If I die, there is no problem. You, oh my dear wife, you should take care of our children. There is no loss if I die. So Kunti is hearing this and she is wondering what's going on. So then the wife starts speaking to the husband and children. She says, no, 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 you should stay alive. I will sacrifice my life. Yeah. There's nothing wrong. It's the duty of the wife to sacrifice her life for the sake of the husband and the children. So you should allow me to die. You should all stay alive. And Kunti is wondering, what's this? What's happening? Then the boy starts speaking. The boy says, no, 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 I am the youngest one. There's nothing wrong if I die. You all should stay alive. Please allow me to go and sacrifice my life. And then the girl starts saying, no, 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 you all three should stay alive. I will sacrifice my life. In this way, everyone is saying that, let me sacrifice my life. And Kunti is hearing all this. So then they start saying, then she goes inside and she starts inquiring, what happened? What's the problem? Can I help you in any way? So then the Brahmana starts explaining the whole thing. Look, what happened? The whole thing is there is this asura called Bakasur in our village. So this Bakasur would every day torture us. He would come inside the village. He stays in a forest very close by, and every day he would come inside the village and capture anyone and eat them. And he would eat many people and he would destroy everything and eat a lot of food, steal people's property. So this was going on for a long time. So finally the villagers came together and had a meeting with Bakasur, and he said, look, why do you want to destroy our lives? We will supply you food, enough food every day. Please spare our life. Please don't kill us. So in this way, there was an agreement between Bakasur and the village people. So Bakasur said, okay, if you can supply me every day enough food, then I won't disturb you. But on one condition, I will eat the food and I will also eat the person who is carrying the food. So villagers said, okay, we will allow you to do that. So for the last several days, every day the villagers would fill a bullock cart with all kinds of varieties of food, and one village person would carry all this and go to the forest inside the cave of Bakasur, and he would offer all this food to the Bakasur, and then Bakasur would eat all that food and eat the person also. So Kunti heard all this story from this Brahmana. So, so Brahmana said, today is our turn. I have to send one family member from my house. So therefore we all are crying, who will go? So Kunti said, look, I can give you a solution. You have only one son, right? I have 5 sons. I will send one son of mine. And even if I lose one son, what is the loss? I have 4 sons. But you have only one son, so you should protect your son. And I assure you, I guarantee you that my son will come back alive. So the Brahmana heard this and he said, what? How can I allow my guest to do this sacrifice? That is against the principle of a householder's religious duty. I cannot allow you to do that. You are our guest, so you should not do this. So Kunti said, "Don't worry. I guarantee you, my son is powerful enough. Who will come back alive? He will kill Bakasur and come back." So the Brahmana, finally Kunti convinced the entire family and said, "Don't worry, I guarantee you. I have seen my son killing big Rakshasas. He has killed Hidimba and he has killed many other people bare-handed, with bare hands. So don't worry, he will come back, I guarantee you." So finally the Brahmana and his family were convinced, and they were grateful to Kunti for this offer. So finally they arranged all the bullock cart with the entire load of food, loaded with food of various varieties. And Bhima was very happy to sit on the bullock cart. While on the road to Bakasur's cave, he started eating everything. Because for a long time, for several days, he hadn't eaten much. He hadn't received good food to eat. Finally, after a long time, he was able to eat all these kinds of varieties of food, delicious food. And before he reached the Bakasur's cave, he had already eaten most of the food. And then he challenged Bakasur, "You rascal, come out." So Bakasur was surprised. Who is this person who is challenging me? There is no one who has so far challenged me. Who is this human? So he came out angrily. And to his shock and surprise, he saw this human being eating his food. And he saw Bhima enjoying the entire food. Hmm? So Bhima was enjoying all the laddus and the gulab jamuns and the kachoris and samosas. So Bakasur came from behind and started hitting Bhima. Bhima didn't care. He continued eating his food. He thought, "Let me finish my important job first, then I will deal with Bakasur." So without looking back, he continued eating. And finally, after finishing his quota, he decided, "Okay, now let me deal with this rascal." And this way, he started fighting with Bakasur. They started hitting with each other with punches and stones and rocks. Then they started uprooting trees and hitting each other with tree trunks, tree barks. And this way the fight continued for some time. Finally, Bhima said, "Okay, enough. Let me end the life of this Asura." And then he caught hold of his neck and started hitting him with great force. And finally, after a few minutes, Bakasur was dead. Hmm? And Bhima was very happy. So Bhima, instead of announcing into the village that I have killed Bakasur, you know what he did? He took the dead body of Bakasur in the middle of the night and he came to the village gate. And on the gate, he had actually broken the backbone of the Bakasur, and he hung this dead body on the gate when no one was there in the middle of the night, and he went home. So early morning, the villagers saw, "Who is this on the village gate?" And they were wondering, "This is the same Bakasur. Who has killed him? Who is that powerful person who must have killed him and saved our life?" So everyone was shocked and delighted at the same time to see that their biggest enemy, Bakasur, was now dead. And then they started inquiring. It was whose turn this day? Who was supposed to send their family member? And then they came to know about this Brahmana family. So everyone coming and inquiring from this Brahmana, "How did you manage this?" So the Brahmana said, "Actually, I didn't kill, but I cannot tell you the secret. There was this Gandharva who came, a very powerful Gandharva, and he was the one who has killed Bakasur and saved our life." So actually, Kunti had told the Brahmana not to reveal who has killed, because if they would reveal that Bhima has killed, then immediately the news would spread to Kuru. Duryodhan may understand through his spies and other agents that the Pandavas are still alive. So therefore, to maintain that confidential information, to keep it a secret, Bhima and the Pandavas had told the family members not to tell anyone that I have killed. So in this way, Bakasur was killed, and the entire uh, whole village was happy. They were peaceful now. The biggest threat in their life was now gone, and the whole village became peaceful. So after spending these days, so many days in Ekachakra, the Pandavas now decided that we should now move. We can't continuously stay here for all the time. So they start planning when to move and how to move. So meanwhile, uh, at Panchaladesh, which one is Panchaladesh? Whose capital is Panchal? Panchal was the capital of Drupada. So Drupada, you remember a few weeks back we had discussed the story of Dronacharya and Drupada, right? They were enemies in the sense they had an enmity between the two. How Drupada had insulted Dronacharya when Dronacharya had gone there to beg some charity. So there was this enmity between the two. So then finally, Dronacharya had uh, asked for Guru Dakshina from the Kurus and the Pandavas. You should capture Drupada. And finally, Drupada was captured and he had to give away half of his kingdom to Dronacharya. So we know the story. So now Drupada wanted to take revenge against Dronacharya. So he was wondering how to take revenge. So he approached these two Brahmanas, whose name was Yaja and Upayaja. So first he goes to Upayaja. So Yaja is the elder one. They are two brothers, and the younger brother's name is Upayaja. So he goes to Upayaja, who is said to be more powerful than his elder brother. So he goes to Upayaja and tells him, look, I want you to perform a yagya, a sacrifice, by which I can get one son who can kill Dronacharya. So Upayaja hears this and he says, come on, you want me to perform a sacrifice to kill a Brahmana? I will never do this. I will never do this adharmic act, irreligious act. I cannot fulfill your request. He refuses to follow Drupada's request. But Drupada is wondering, so what to do? So he then asks Upayaja, then whom do you suggest? Who can do this yagya for me? So Upayaja says, maybe you can approach my elder brother, Yaja. He may agree. Why? Why he will agree? Because I have seen him that whenever he is offered any food, he doesn't he doesn't think much. He immediately eats it. Which means he doesn't check whether the food is good quality or not, whether the food has been coming from the right source or not, who is offering the food. He doesn't see all those things. So because he doesn't discriminate while eating, his intelligence is corrupted. His intelligence is impure. So a person with such an impure intelligence may agree to perform sacrifice for you. So that's a very important principle. If we eat contaminated food, if we eat food without offering to Krishna, if we eat food without checking the source, who has cooked it, where is it coming from, huh? If we are not careful about inquiring about these things, and if we eat all these kind of food stuff, it indicates that our intelligence becomes corrupted and impure. And a person with an impure intelligence cannot think properly, cannot take the right decisions. So in this way, Drupada hears this suggestion and he goes to Yaja and he tells Yaja, look, I have this request. I want you to perform a sacrifice by which I can get a son who can kill Dronacharya. So as expected, Yaja agrees. Yaja agrees to perform the sacrifice. And then he also tells, Drupada also makes one more request. Along with the son, I want a daughter who can marry Arjuna. So Yaja says, okay. I will fulfill your request. In this way, uh, he starts performing the sacrifice, and out of the sacrifice, first comes out a boy, a male, very effulgent male, powerful young Kshatriya, whose name was Drishtadyumna. So Drishtadyumna is born. He's not like, a regular baby boy, like we have our regular children born. Mother gives birth to a child. It's not like that. This child comes from the fire directly. And that's not a child, he's a young adult, already an adult. So Drishtadyumna is born and he is destined to kill Dronacharya. And after that, a young girl is born. A very beautiful young girl with all decorated with all good qualities. And she is Draupadi. And Draupadi is destined to marry Arjun. So in this way, both boy and girl are born. So it is said that Draupadi was very beautiful. She was darkish in complexion, and it is said that she is an expansion of Lakshmi Devi herself, a partial expansion of Lakshmi Devi. So in this way, Draupadi was also born, and Drupada is very happy. Drupada and this queen both are very happy to have this very handsome young boy and a very beautiful princess. In this way, both of them accept Drupada and his wife as their parents. Now, back in Pandava camp, how much time do we have now? Okay, 5 more minutes. Then we will take questions, and then we will have a quiz also. So, back in the Pandava camp, they decide to move out of Ekachakra, and they get to hear about a Swayamvar ceremony of Draupadi. So Drupada has now arranged a Swayamvar for marrying off Draupadi. So the Pandavas also received this news that very soon a Swayamvar is going to happen in Panchala, Kampilya. Kampilya is the capital of Panchala kingdom. So they thought, okay, let us also go and try. Let us participate. Let us at least watch the Swayamvar ceremony. Because they hear that Draupadi is destined to marry Arjun. They get that news. So they thought, okay, let us go towards Kampilya, the capital of Panchal Desh. So on the way from Ekachakra towards Kampilya, at one place on the bank of the Ganga, they take rest for the night. And they are drinking water and taking bath in the Ganga. So one time, during the night, when they were taking rest, there is this Gandharva whose name was Angaraparna. He comes and challenges the Pandavas. He says, how can you come here and take rest here? This is my place. This is my region. You human beings have no right to stay here. So Arjun says, come on. Rivers and forests are public places. It belongs to everyone. You cannot say this is my place and this is not ours. Who are you to challenge us? So Gandharva says, Angaraparna says, come on, don't challenge us. I can easily defeat you in fight. So Arjun says, come on. Okay, I accept your challenge. Let us fight. So immediately he takes up his bow and arrows and is ready to fight. And there is a huge fight between the two. And in a matter of few minutes, Arjun actually defeats Angaraparna. And then Angaraparna is very sorry. He begs forgiveness and he says, I am really sorry. I didn't know who you are and how powerful you were. But I can see why you were able to defeat me. Usually human beings cannot defeat Gandharvas. Gandharvas are superior beings, more powerful than human beings. So usually no one can defeat, human beings cannot defeat the Gandharvas. But then he says, you were able to defeat me because you are practicing brahmacharya, celibacy, because of which you have acquired great powers. That's why you were able to defeat me. So in this way, Angaraparna says, I want to gift you something. I will give you a nice chariot with nice horses. So Arjun says, no, 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 I don't want your gift. I will accept your gift some other time. Right now, I am not in a position to accept your gift. So Angaraparna says, I want to do something for you. So the Pandavas says, okay, we are looking for a guru, some guide who can lead us. Whom do you suggest? So Angaraparna says, he gives a direction. You go in this direction for a few miles, and there you will find the hermitage of Dhaumya Rishi. So you go there. So the Pandavas thank Angaraparna and starts moving in that direction. And after few days, they come to the river bank where all these sages are staying there. Some of the sages are worshippers of Durga Devi, some are worshippers of Lord Shiva, some are worshippers of Surya Dev, some are worshippers of Lord Vishnu. So they find out who Dhaumya is. And Dhaumya is, they understand that Dhaumya is a worshipper of Lord Vishnu, Vaishnava. And Dhaumya also recognizes that the Pandavas are Vaishnavas by their bodily markings. And the Pandavas, Yudhishthir, request Dhaumya Rishi and how they had escaped from the Lakshagriha, Hastinapur, and how they are roaming around in the forest. And then they say, now we are going to Kampilya. We have heard about the Swayamvar of Draupadi and we want to participate in this. Can you please accompany us as our guide and teacher? So Dhaumya Rishi is very happy to hear this news, and he is very happy to become their guide. And in this way, Dhaumya Rishi becomes their official guru and teacher, spiritual teacher. And from there on, they start proceeding towards Kampilya. And in a matter of few days, they are going to arrive at Kampilya. How they arrive, what kind of reception they get at Kampilya, what kind of arrangements Drupada Maharaj has made for the Swayamvar of Draupadi. Elaborate arrangements he has made. It's a big competition to select the groom, select the prince who will marry Draupadi. So all these arrangements, what kind of arrangements he has done, we will discuss next Saturday. All right. So anyone wants to ask any question? Chandrika, you have raised your hand. Your voice is very low volume.
Chandrika, speak in the mic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, better.
Prabhuji, my question was that when Draupadi was born from the fire, was there a prophecy from the sky that Draupadi he will be the end of the Kuruvans and she will keep the blessings from all the gods. Her life is full of pain.
I am not sure. Some people say that. In some places I have read that. But not everyone seems to be confirming that idea. So maybe it was there. But at least in the book, Mahabharata book that I referred, there is no mention of this thing. Whether there was a prophecy that Draupadi is going to be the cause of the destruction of the entire Kuru dynasty. Maybe it was there. In some versions, it could be there. Yes, Srirang and Harsh have raised their hands.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I wanted to ask that can you just tell in short after that Gandharva he told to go to Pandavas in a direction. After that, can you tell in short again?
Yeah, so the Gandharva wanted to gift something, do some favor to the Pandavas. So when he gave the horses, nice horses to Arjun, he said, I cannot take this now. And I didn't save your life for exchange of a gift. So in the fight, Arjun had a chance to kill the Gandharva, but he didn't kill him. Therefore, the Gandharva wanted to give some gift to him, but Arjun refused. So therefore, he wanted to do something, some favor. So in this way, Arjun asked for some direction. Where can I meet the rishis who can become our guide? So Gandharva had this knowledge where to find them, and he said, Dhaumya Rishi will be your best guide. You should go in this direction, and there you will meet him after a few miles of walk. So that way, Gandharva, the Angaraparana Gandharva, helped them. He could repay something for the help Arjun offered for the act of saving his life. So that's the gift Arjun received from the Gandharva, and this way they could meet Dhaumya Rishi and accept him as his guru, as their guru. Is that okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Anyone else? Chaitanya.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have a question that now what is the state which was located before as Panchal? This is a little general knowledge question, Prabhuji.
Okay. Let me see. We'll have to guess that. See, this is here we have Gujarat. Panchal is here. So Panchal seems to be somewhere in Uttar Pradesh area. Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, that side. So this is Kuru. Kuru is the current Hastinapur or Delhi. Little southeast is Panchal, which must be UP, current Uttar Pradesh. So the Pandavas were located at Ekachakra, which is West Bengal. So from here they started moving towards Panchal through Bengal, and then finally Bihar, Jharkhand, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. That's the area probably they must have taken through the forest of Jharkhand. Even now, the area of Jharkhand is a forest area.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Who else? Shardha, you want to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
we were speaking about that food which is not offered to Lord Krishna is contaminated. And that means now we are eating the food in hotel, all those things. How can we come step by step to the process,
Okay.
Prabhu?
Yeah, that's a little difficult thing. Every time we may not be able to get pure food which we can offer to Krishna and then eat it in a nice sanctified place. Sometimes, especially when we are traveling or when we are out of home, then we may be forced to purchase food from outside, go to a hotel and then eat. And we don't know who is cooking, what kind of conditions are there while cooking that kind of food, what is the consciousness of the people who are cooking that food, what kind of ingredients they are using in the food. We have no control over all those things. Only thing we have control is the taste. Only thing we have control is the menu. But what ingredients and who is cooking, we have no control. So yeah, so there's the risk that the food could be contaminated. At least we should make sure that we don't go to at least non-vegetarian hotel. We should prefer a vegetarian restaurant whenever we are eating outside. And if we can order food without onion garlic, that is even better. If it is if we are sure that food doesn't have all these items, then we can maybe mentally offer it to Krishna. We can pray to Krishna saying, "Oh my Lord, I am helpless now. This is the food I have to eat. So please, purify this food and let me not get affected by the impurities of this food." So if we can offer this prayer to Krishna and mentally offer it to Krishna, saying, "This is all I have to offer it to you, although this is not the best food I can offer. Please accept this and let me eat this food as prasad." So that kind of prayer can help. Everyone does that. Whenever we have to travel, we are forced to eat this kind of food. So this is what we can do. Krishna is bhavagrahi. he will understand that we are sincere. He will protect us from the contaminated influence. Is that okay? Okay, so we are now 12:08, 12:10. Maybe one more question we can take, then we can have the quiz. Gopal Lila Prabhu, are you ready? Are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji is
Yes,
there.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So
Thank
by
you.
the time you set everything ready, we can take maybe one more question.
Sure,
in
sure.
case
No
there is
problem.
someone.
Prabhuji, my question was, what is the state where Bhima killed Jarasandha, and what is the state known now?
So Jarasandha was the king of Magadha Desh. Magadha province. Magadha is modern day Bihar. So that's the area, somewhere here. You know where Bihar is, right? In the Indian map. So that was the region of Jarasandha. Okay, so I think we'll have to stop now and let us all get ready for the quiz, Kahoot quiz.
Haribol children, Haribol. Thank you, Mukund Mala Prabhu. So just to confirm, the quiz is pretty simple. Just be careful while answering. All these 10 questions are pretty simple and straightforward. If you have heard the Prabhuji's class carefully, you will be able to answer it. Okay. So let me share my screen and we can start. Let me know once you're able to see, and then probably we can. Are you able to see my screen? Can you at least show me a thumb? Are you able to? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Bimla. All right. Okay, the pin is 2854150. Just for the newcomers or who are new for the Kahoot, this is how it needs to be played. You need to go on kahoot.it and type in your name and type in this password 2854150. You require 2 smart devices. One smart device where you'll able to see the question, and the other smart device you will need to type in the password and your name.
ये विश्व भारती है, वीरों की आरती है नित नई पुरानी भारत की ये कहानी। अथ श्री महाभारत कथा, अथ श्री महाभारत कथा, महाभारत कथा, महाभारत कथा, कथा है पुरुषार्थ की, ये स्वार्थ की, परमार्थ की, सारथी जिसके बने श्री कृष्ण भारत पात की। शब्द दिग्घोषित हुआ जब, सत्य सार्थक सर्व यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानं अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय
We'll just do another 1 minute.
धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Anyone facing joining? Because I see there are 36 in Zoom and I see 25 on this. Okay, start. Fine. Let's start. What advice did Vyasdev give to Satyavati? You should take care of children. You should be advisor to the queens. You should retire and leave Hastinapur. You should remarry. Okay. It was very clear that this was the instruction given by Vyasdev to Satyavati. You should retire and leave Hastinapur. Quickly on the chat box, anyone who, if can tell me what is the relationship between Vyasdev and Satyavati? On the chat box, please. Quickly. Yeah, mother son. Thank you, Srirang. Thank you, Riyansh. Dhin Dayan, Vaidehi, Chaitanya Tila, Bimla, thank you. Okay, let's move to the next one. I see Krishna on the top, followed by Chandrika, Riyan, Sanvi, and Dimple. Moving to the next question. After getting thrown in the river, Bhima entered which region? Nagalok, Indralok, Brahmalok, Varunlok. The game pin is 2854150. Kanchan, the game pin is 2854150. Pretty simple. It was Naglok where he entered and where he was able to get the nectar which gave a strength of 10,000 elephants. Okay, not much change. Sanvi moving to the position 3. Riyansh to 4. Let's move to the next one. How did Dronacharya pick up the ball from the well? Using long grasses invested with mantras, by jumping into the well, by shooting an arrow, by throwing a rope. Okay, most of you have answered correctly. It was long grasses invested with mantras. Moving to the next question. Gopal Chandra coming on number 5th, while Riyansh moving on number 3. Whose disciple was Drona? Brahaspati, Parshuram, Markandeya, Vishwamitra. Okay, yes, it is Parshuram. Quickly on the chat box, please. Who is Brahaspati? Who was Brahaspati? Okay, Janva, says Devta's Guru. Yes, Riyansh, Janva, Bimla, thank you. It is Devta's Guru. Markande. Who was Markande Rishi? Or before Markande, probably we can say Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra. Guru of Ram and Lakshman. Yes. Perfect. And anyone on Markande, please? Who was Markande Rishi? Vishwamitra was a guru of Ram and Lakshman who took Rama and to kill Tadaka. Okay, the devotee of Lord Krishna saw Krishna in Pralay. Yes, Krishna Kaimal says correct. It is shows Krishna in Pralay. Not sure of rest of the answers. Mrityunjay, Shlok, Chiranjeevi, Bhakt of Shiva. Probably Mukundmala Prabhu, do you have any idea on this?
That is correct.
Oh.
Markandeya was the one who saw Krishna during the play. He wanted to see the.
Yeah, that is
Maya
right.
form.
But rest of the answers, like devotee of Lord of Shiva.
Yeah, that is not sure. But one
Okay,
information
yeah.
is he was having a long, very long lifespan, almost like
Okay,
one
Chiranjeevi.
kalpa of Brahma. Yeah.
Correct.
Chiranjeevi,
Okay,
yeah,
thank
correct.
you. Riyansh, you're right. Chiranjeevi. Not sure on the devotee of Lord Shiva. Probably we may have to check this and get back to you. Moving to the next question. Krishna and Chandrika, they are all of them, all first three positions are maintained. They are maintaining, followed by Dimple and Triple V. Not sure who is Triple V. Okay, Eklav belonged to which tribe? Chandala, Yavana, Nishad, or Mlecha? Okay, 15 of them they have answered correctly. Yes, it is Nishad. Okay, Krishna, Riyansh, Dimple, Gopal Chandra, and Padmanabh. Moving to the next question. What was the Guru Dakshina Drona asked from Eklavya? Right thumb, left thumb, bow and arrow, money. Okay, most of you have answered correctly. It is right thumb, yes. Padmana, Bimla Devi coming on number 5th. Rest first three positions are being maintained. Last three questions. Duryodhan installed Karna as the king of which province? Panchal, Madhya Pradesh, Angadesh, or Vidarbha? Okay, yes, it is Angadesh. Quickly on the chat box, which are these, the rest of the three provinces? Vidarbha. Can anyone talk about Vidarbha? What is Vidarbha special about? Yes, Rukmini Devi, thank you.